The third lesson in algebra talks about the distributive property. The first thing that we're going to recognize is how to simplify an expression, because that is a direction that you will be given throughout algebra this year. So if you were told to simplify 6 plus 5 plus 3, you would first do the 6 plus 5, which is 11, and then 11 plus 3 to give you 14. Simplifying doesn't change the value of the expression, it only changes the appearance. So something that's equivalent to 6 plus 5 plus 3 would be 11 plus 3, and something that's equivalent to that would be 14. So that would be our final answer. That doesn't change once you have x's. So if I told you that I have 6 x's, and I add 3 x's, and then I add 5 x's, I would have a total of first 9 x's, and then 14 x's. That would be our final answer. If I were to ask you or tell you that 3 bands performed on America's Got Talent and each band had 5 women and 4 men, there would be 2 different ways that you could get your answer. You could first say that the 5 plus 4 gives you the total number of people in each band, and then multiply it by the 3 bands. So you would get 9 times 3, or 27 people. Or you could say that 3 bands have 5 women, so there are 15 total women, plus the 3 bands have 4 men, so there are 12 total men, which gives us a total of 27 people. Basically, these 2 solutions help sum up the distributive property. What the distributive property says is that, I'm going to rewrite this as 3 parentheses 5 plus 4, is that if you have a number on the outside of the parentheses, if you take it and you multiply it first by the first term, next by the second term, you're going to get the same answer. They mean the exact same thing. What I tell some of my classes is you can think about it this way. The number on the outside is a person that wants to get into the house. The parentheses represent the house. But in order for the number on the outside to get into the house, it has to shake hands with everybody on the inside. So the 5 has to shake hands with the 6y, there's a plus sign, and then the 5 also has to shake hands with the 1. So this is exactly how we're going to go through this. If we multiplied 5 times 6y, we're going to get 30y, plus 5 times 1 will give us 5. This would be our final answer because we can't add y's to not y's. So this would be our final answer. On the next one, we look to see who wants to get into the party, and currently the 4 is outside of the party, so in order to get in, the 4 has to first shake hands with the 2x, bring our subtraction sign over, and then the 4 also has to shake hands with the 5. If we were to go ahead and simplify this, 4 times 2x would give us 8 x's, and 4 times 5 would give us 20. We cannot simplify that because they aren't both x's. Looking at the next one, we want to see who is outside the party that wants to get in. The number that is outside of the party, or the house, is the -6. So in order to get in, the -6 has to first shake hands with the 2n, and then the -6 has to shake hands with the 4. And remember, these parentheses that I have here mean multiplication. So -6 times 2n gives us -12n, and -6 times 4 gives us -24. This is our final solution because we cannot add n's to not ends. There's nothing more that we can do. The next problem, we've got -3 that wants to get in. So the -3 has to first shake hands with the n, bring our minus, and then the -3 has to shake hands with the 8. Now notice, there are two minus signs next to one another, so we want to keep it, change it, flip it. -3 times n would give us -3n, and 3 times 8 gives us 24. This would be our final solution because we cannot add n's to not n's. They're not like terms. I'm going to do the same thing on the next slide. So the person that wants to get into the party is the -8. So in order to get in, our -8 has to first shake hands with 9x, bring our subtraction sign down, and then our -8 has to shake hands with the 3. Keep it, change it, flip it. -8 times 9x is going to give us -72x, plus 8 times 3 is going to give us 24, our final solution. The next problem we have is we're looking to see who is trying to get into the party, and it's the -2 that wants to get into the party. So -2 needs to first shake hands with -4n. We'll bring our minus sign, and then our -2 has to shake hands with the 4. Now we'll follow, keep it, change it, flip it. -2 times -4n is going to give us a positive 8n, plus 2 times 4 is going to give us 8. Final answer. Now, if we get to a problem like this, what we're asking you is to just think about, if I have the number -4, what times 4 would give us -4? The correct answer would be -1 times 4. They mean the same thing. So if I had a -7, it means that I'm taking -1 and multiplying it by -7, which would give me +7. When you have a situation like this where it seems like there's just a minus sign on the outside, it's as if there's a -1, and so we would want to go through the whole process of distributing, and so we want to see that the -1 wants to get inside the party. So -1 has to shake hands with the 4x, plus, we bring our plus sign over, the -1 has to shake hands with the 5. So -1 times 4x would give us -4x, and -1 times 5 gives us -5. Just as an FYI, our answer means the same thing written this way. I would accept either answer when you're going through and you are doing your work. It gets a little trickier when you get into fractions and decimals, but we still follow the same suit. We just might have to bring in some of our other rules that we learned about fractions and decimals in order to solve them. So here we want to look to see who wants to get into the party. In this case, the 2/5 wants to get into the party. So we have to shake hands with the x, bring our minus sign down, and then we want to shake hands with the 2. 2/5 times x is going to give us 2/5 x. And here we're multiplying a fraction times a whole number. It's easier for us if we multiply it times another fraction. So I'm going to make this 2/1 so that I can use my rules for multiplying fractions. It's multiplying fractions, no big problem, top times top, over bottom times bottom. So we've got 2/5 x minus 4/5 for our final answer. We're going to do the same thing on the problem below. So we're looking to see who wants into the party, and it's a negative 3/4. So in order to get in, negative 3/4 must first shake hands with 2x, bring our plus, and then negative 3/4 must shake hands with the 1. I'm going to make this a fraction by making it 2x over 1. I'm also going to make this 1 a fraction by making it over 1. So multiplying fractions, no big problem. Top times top gives us negative 6x over bottom times bottom gives us 4. Plus we've got negative 3 times 1, which is negative 3, 4 times 1, which is 4. So our final answer is going to be negative 6x over 4 plus negative 3. We cannot add these together because this term here has an x and this term doesn't. So we can just leave it in this form exactly how we have it right now. We've got another fraction 1 here, and we're going to notice that the 2/3 is the one that wants into the party. So 2/3 would have to shake hands with 3x, and then the 2/3 would have to shake hands with the 3/4. Now I'm going to make this a fraction to make it easier on us. We'll multiply top times top to get 6x, bottom times bottom to give us 3, top times top gives us 6, bottom times bottom gives us 12, and then we're going to go through and simplify. This first term right here, I notice that 6 over 3 is the same as 2, and we still have our x, plus 6/12 is the same as 1/2. These two mean the same thing, I just simplified them. Moving on to the next slide, we have decimals, which doesn't change anything. We're looking to see who wants in the party. In this case, you can use a calculator. So 2.6 wants into the party. To get in, 2.6 has to shake hands with 7.35, and 2.6 has to shake hands with 0.8x. So I'm using a calculator here, that's why I'm doing this so fast. So 2.6 times 7.35 is going to give us 19.11, plus, now I have to do 2.6 times 0.8. We have 2.08, and we can't forget our x. We cannot add these together because this one has an x and this one does not. So that would be our final answer. The next problem that we have, we check to see who wants in the party, and negative 1.5 wants in the party. So we would have to multiply negative 1.5 times negative 3.01x, bring our minus sign down, and then negative 1.5 needs to shake hands with 2.5. So if I multiply negative 1.5 times 3.01, I get a positive 4.515x, add the opposite, and 1.5 times 2.5 gives us a 3.75. This would be our final answer. We can't add them together because this term has an x while this term does not. On the hardest questions, the level 4 questions, you're going to be asked to look at some type of equation and come up with either area or perimeter or something of that sort. So the one thing you need to keep in mind is how to find area. Area is of a rectangle is length times width. So in this case, if I'm looking for my area, I have to do 10 times 5, and I get 50, I'll say units squared, because I don't know what the units are. So on this one, there we go. The next one, we had to multiply 13 times 9. And we are going to get, let's see, 90 and 27, 117 units squared. When you go to the very last, you notice it gets a little bit harder because now it's not just a number, it's what we call a binomial. So in order to find the area here, we would have to take 12 and multiply it by 6x plus 7. But when we go to multiply something like this, it actually sets up the distributive property. So we'll notice that the 12 wants in. So we have to do 12, shaking hands with the 6x, and then the 12, shaking hands with the 7. When we multiply 12 times 6x, we get 72x, and when we do 12 times 7, we get 84. That would be our final answer, and we cannot add them together because this one has an x, and this one does not have an x. So this would be our final answer. If you have any questions, just like before, please feel free to email me, sullivana@milton.k12.wi.us. Otherwise, good luck on your homework, and we'll see you tomorrow.